you are so much more alive and rich and exciting when I'm present with you than when I'm thinking you. And it's true for you, and it's true for the person who's listening. It's true for being with everything in your life is so much more rich and alive when you're standing on the edge of your mental knowing and stepping out of your mental knowing and then.
Não é todo dia que a gente tem um convidado que trabalhou numa estação espacial. Eu achei isso tão legal que eu nem preciso mais contar quem ele é. Na verdade, eu fiz um workshop de liderança intuitiva com ele e eu achei simplesmente uma coisa fenomenal, porque ele não fica só na mente, ele traz para o corpo e ele tem todo esse know-how da parte super técnica e dessa parte de muito conhecimento. Eu tô com o Jess McKay. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much to accept my invitation, first of all. And I would like you to tell me a little bit, like, who is Jesse?
Yeah, there's so many things, just like whoever's listening, there's so many things about you. The thing that I'll just mention is I grew up in really totally the wilderness in Canada, about 13 hours drive north of Vancouver, British Columbia. Mm-hmm. And it was such a beautiful place to grow up, and I think it's an important foundation for the work that I do now.
Can you tell me a little bit about your work in the space station and how it helps you, or how it was a foundation? Mm-hmm. Because for sure it was a step for who you are now. So
Right. So I didn't actually go to the space station. I work for the German Space Operations Center, which is part of the European Space Agency, in collaboration with NASA and Russia and Japan and actually Brazil as well, yes, who are partners on the space station. So I was working in one of the control centers in South Germany, yes, and working on monitoring control systems. And one thing about this is that, as I mentioned, I grew up in the forest. Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of like an extreme opposite of, yes, of an extremely cosmopolitan, complicated, totally different,
yeah, for sure,
experience than being a kid in the forest, mm-hmm, which is part of what I'm attracted to is going to both sides of things and then trying to integrate them.
Yeah, because your work that you do now, it is like a super sensitive, and I think it's super nice to share with people, because when you talk about energy, being more conscient about our own body, being conscient about our behaviors, mm-hmm, and our perspectives of life, it's a kind of feminine energy for someone, mm-hmm, and it's super amazing because you work with these both polarities and you put both together. Mm-hmm. When you go to one extreme, like NASA thinks it's super like male, mm-hmm, energy, mm-hmm, and how do you feel like balancing this, and how do you become this person that you are now? Maybe not tomorrow, but now.
Right, so you mentioned that it's part of the work is about learning to be more sensitive, but there's also a masculine side to that. It's also like learning to be a leadership ninja, like being in a high state of awareness that is not like a ninja is probably in a high state of awareness where there's a lot of fear and there's sort of watching for danger in the environment. Mm-hmm. But this is a high state of awareness where you're just super attuned to what's going on inside you, what's going on in each of the people you're working with, what's going on in the team, like the culture of the team and the organization, and how that's related to the larger environment. So it's about tracking, paying attention to a lot of different things at once. It's one metaphor that we talked about in the workshop is juggling. Yeah. So juggling a lot of different layers of complexity in your attention. My work is so much about going beyond or beneath, like deeper than the rational mind, and connecting with our life energy and with other people's life energy, and then living in a more creative, connected, powerful, and also more fulfilled place. Because many people these days, they live very much in their head, and it's quite sad to live in your head. Right, and I know part of your work is working a lot with beauty, and getting out of the head is so much about having a more beautiful experience of life. Because if I see you, and I think like many people, including myself sometimes, and especially in the past, I see you, I'm actually thinking you and not really being present with you. And you are so much more alive and rich and exciting when I'm present with you than when I'm thinking you. And it's true for you, and it's true for the person who's listening. It's true for being with everything in your life is so much more rich and alive when you're standing on the edge of your mental knowing and stepping out of your mental knowing, and then life is so much more beautiful.
Like, when or how do you feel like that you need to move for a different kind of work or lifestyle or life awareness, and you need to show more people or the world, I don't know, this state that you super trust and you super feel it, like being more awareness about others and yourself?
So, I mean, like the person listening, probably there's many, many steps through your life that were all important. But maybe the biggest one that comes from me is I was doing a master's degree in business, and I was in wrestling, competing every weekend. And I was kind of neurotic in that, like, I needed to win and I needed to get straight A's in the master's degree of business. And because it was like self-esteem issues, basically. And I just, at some point, I was at actually an international wrestling tournament in Toronto, Canada, and I just kind of broke. And I was like, I don't want to be against other people anymore. I want to be in this life with people. Because also in the business school, it was like very, very competitive to get A's in every course. And so you're always competing against, like, you need to write a better essay than everyone else to get an A. And I was just tired of myself. And I was also an atheist. I had no religion, no belief in anything. And I just kind of broke, and I was like, no, I don't want to be against people. I want to be with people. And so what I'm doing now is just the continuation of trying to be more deeply with the people, all of us that are all alive together right now. How can we help make our journey through this life a little more beautiful, a little more inspiring?
But how you see it and how you manage it, and how is it?
When I get asked a question like that, I try to think of what could also be useful for the person listening. And one aspect of how I do this is in my relationship with myself. And this is something everyone can do. I guess everyone's trying to do it to some extent, probably, or most people, is just having a kind of a radical non-objectification of oneself. Like, most of us were taught in our culture to see ourselves as an object, and even to make ourselves into a psychological object, like I'm having this quality and this quality and this, and I'm this personality type and so on. And that can be interesting and useful, but it's also a form of subtle objectification. And so part of bringing more beauty to life is trying to stop attacking myself, trying to stop shaming myself. I don't do those very much anymore, but I know
a lot of people does.
Right, many people do.
Yeah.
Right, and so the world can be more beautiful, and your experience of life can be so much more rich and fulfilling if the animal that you are isn't afraid. And the animal that you are, like our bodies and our nervous systems, most of us, so because of all of the collective trauma in our culture and all the ways that the past of humanity, we've inherited a lot of beauty, and we've also inherited a lot of pain and bad psychological habits. And so, for many of us, our biggest enemy is actually ourselves. And we're attacking ourselves, we're judging ourselves, we're shaming ourselves for just being the human being that we are. And naturally, when you're attacking yourself or shaming yourself or judging yourself, the animal that you are becomes afraid, because it's always under threat of attack from yourself. And so many people are living in a state of an overactivated nervous system, or some people it's overactivated for so long that it's like the circuit breaks, the fuse blows, and they go into shutdown, and then they get depressed. But that's often a symptom of being overactivated. And life can just be so much more fulfilling and rich and connected.
If you can relax your nervous system, as
Right.
you say, yeah.
But to relax your nervous system, you need to stop attacking yourself, because
Yeah.
you're not safe if you know there's always someone in the room who might attack you, and it's you.
It's you, yeah. The place that should be more safe
Right.
is the place that afraids you most. No?
Right, right.
I have some people that comes to my clinic and they were like, I hate myself, I cannot recognize in the mirror. And I say, okay, we can take care of yourself, but if you don't love where you are, it doesn't need to define you.
Right.
But if you don't love, you cannot move forward, because you cannot be connected to see where you need to go.
Right. Right.
So sometimes you just had a baby and the woman is feeling super like fat, saggy, swelling and hating on herself, but it doesn't define her, but she needs to love her in that moment, so she can be better like a few months, not better because better is not a word, but she can feel the way she wants to feel in a few months. And I think it's super true, because if you don't treat your inside animal, when you say this, I super feel like a super cute like pet that you have, and you're not treating well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people just think about treating well others, not themselves. But I think one super easy thing that you taught me in the weekend is like being in touch and accept no matter what feeling is it. Like we did how can I call
The chart.
the chart, and we put like sadness, anger, fear, joy, love, or let me see,
Shame.
Yeah. So even if you feel this like 1% in your day, it's super important to feel the feeling, because since we are super young, since we are a child, if you are like angry about something, your mom said don't be angry, and immediately you just get rid of the feeling and you bring to my mind, okay, I cannot be angry. So we've been living like this.
Right.
And I think one super easy thing that you can use as a starter, people who are seeing us, is like put a chart in your mirror of the restroom, and like wake up in the morning and before sleep do the exercise for 30 days. Like today did I feel sad? No, I didn't feel. Yes, I was 2% sad because it was raining and we were recording and there's noise around. And okay, this feeling of sadness is not gonna drown me into it and doesn't define me. It's just a feeling that just passed through. But I let myself feeling things, and I can be much more awareness about myself and the others.
Right.
Did I learn
Well, so
okay or no?
part of what you're referring to here